The Leica Q3 and Q3 4.3 are out of reach for most people as accessible street photography cameras. With their fixed 28mm and 43mm lenses, stunning image quality, and beautiful leaf shutters, they are a street photographer's dream. The only thing that isn't a dream is the price. So instead of spending the extra $3,000 on one of these Leicas, instead I've created one camera that scientifically mimics the behaviour of both of these cameras for a fraction of the cost.
You know, I'm something of a scientist myself.
This is the Lumix GM1. I picked up this camera while I was in Japan, which means that every time I turn off the camera, the screen looks like this. A lovely yellow warning triangle to calm your nerves. And this is because I changed the camera's language from Japanese to English, which wasn't actually available in the default camera menu. I'll drop a link in the description below to Emily's great written guide on how to do this, but yeah, the yellow warning triangle is a small side effect. Now, I've said that this camera can replace both the Leica Q3 and the Q3 4.3. The Q3 with its 60MP sensor and the fixed 28mm f1.7 Summilux lens that also has digital crop factors up to 90mm equivalent, I think. Whereas on the Q3 4.3, we have that same resolution sensor, only with a fixed 43mm f2 APO Summicron lens that has a crop factor up to 150mm, I believe. All a bit confusing when you can just have a GM1 and a couple of cheeky Micro Four Thirds prime lenses, which is what we're going to do in this video. Only one quick caveat. Originally, I thought of this video because I love how quiet the Lumix GM1 mechanical shutter is. However, my mechanical shutter appears to have broken. Yes, I know, a sad day for me, but I can still use the camera, and I have still been using the camera since it somehow broke. We'll get into that at the end of this video. So broken shutter aside, what lenses are we using on the GM1? Well, of course we're using the Lumix 14mm f2.5 to substitute for that Leica 28mm f1.7. Totally equal in every way, obviously. Even though it's not actually a Leica lens in any way, I love this little pancake lens because of just how small it is, how fast it is to use, and how small it makes any Micro Four Thirds camera that you attach it to. Even if you don't have the Lumix GM1 or another of the GM line, you could always pick up something like the GX1 or the Olympus EPL6 for that matter to create something really small and pocketable that just makes your photography feel like an extension of you without having to carry around something in a dedicated sling. You can just stick these cameras with this lens in a jacket pocket and be on your way. Pairing this lens with the GM1 does make for one of the smallest interchangeable lens mirrorless cameras you can buy, if you can get past the annoying wheel on the back of the GM1. But we'll talk about that later. And if you're finding this video helpful, then remember to subscribe to the channel and like this video, to share these videos with more people. In the other corner, to take on the Leica Q3 4.3, we of course have the Lumix 20mm f1.7. This lens surely needs no introduction if you're here watching a Micro Four Thirds camera video. It is of course a little bit sluggish when it comes to autofocus, but it has a fast 1.7 aperture and a chunky yet funky pancake form factor that feels at home on the majority of these smaller little compact rangefinder style mirrorless cameras. Of course, build quality has always been one of Leica's main selling points. For people who are going to splurge on a camera like that, knowing that their camera is robust and built to last really makes a difference when spending that kind of cash. Whereas on the Lumix GM1, even though it doesn't sell for that cheap today, I do feel like it could have been a little bit less plasticky. Maybe that would have been better, but it is a plastic fantastic piece of engineering. In place of multiple dials like you'll see on cameras like the GX80 or earlier Olympus cameras like the EM10 Mark I, instead we just have the one little thumb wheel on the back of the camera that I mentioned before that can be quite frustrating. On top of the camera we do have a couple of functional dials like the mode dial and also autofocus mode dial, but on the back of the camera we only have this one little wheel that we have to change between our aperture settings, and then also luckily we do have a very good touchscreen that allows us to go through our function menu very easily and also our main menu. So that does kind of make up for it, but it would have been really nice to have a little like inset thumb wheel at the top of the back of the camera as well. It would make some of the changing of settings while you're wearing gloves on a freezing cold day much easier, which was bothering me quite a lot when shooting this video. I'd like to take a moment to show you how to make some unique color adjustments using the sponsor of this video, Evoto AI. Have you ever looked back at your older photos and wish you could recreate the editing style, but you don't have the RAW or a preset saved? Well, in Evoto AI, this is very simple. We can use the AI color adjustments tool. We simply upload our reference images using our old photo exports. Then by clicking on any of these reference images, we instantly apply the look of our old photos to our new RAW file. And if you don't have any exported images of your own to upload, you can also try Evoto's existing color looks to try different styles on your images. Another tool that I really like is their AI masking tool. With an image selected, when we click on masking, Evoto then detects individual subjects and the background in your image, allowing you to make local adjustments without changing the whole photo. Now, this one is for when you make a mistake when you're out shooting. Here we have AI denoise. With this enabled, Evoto AI will generate a new RAW copy of the image, preserving all of your previous edits, only this time with any unpleasant digital noise removed. And lastly, if we shoot a portrait or even a candid shot and we want to do some light retouching on our subject, we can do this in the portrait retouching panel. Evoto AI automatically detects faces in the frame, allowing you to remove wrinkles, shine, or dark circles easily just by using the sliders. You can try Evoto AI today using my link in the description below to get 15 free credits when you sign up, and use my code George to get 15% off an annual subscription and 20% off on 200 pay-as-you-go credits. Now let's take a look at some photos from the GM1 using the 14mm f2.5. And you can see why 28mm as a full frame equivalent is so popular for street photography, especially in densely packed, tighter street scenes. 28mm is a focal length that really needs you to get involved, get stuck in the action, and fill your frame with multiple subjects. Otherwise, your frame can end up feeling a little bit detached and removed from what's happening in your scene. Filling the frame with a 28mm lens can actually be quite difficult depending on how busy your street scene is and how brave you're feeling on the day to get stuck in the action. I think that's why the Q3 4.3 sort of exists. It doesn't take you all the way up to like a 50mm, it just sort of closes in the distance a little bit, giving some more focus while also allowing you to shoot in wider areas. So when we actually change to the Lumix 20mm f1.7, we can see that same effect here on the GM1. But this 20mm f1.7 only gives us a 40mm full frame equivalent, not the 43mm of the Leica Q3 4.3. 40mm still gives this really nice natural field of view. And I've always enjoyed shooting with 40mm equivalent lenses, whether it's on 4/3 mount, Fuji X mount, or Sony full frame. I've always really liked this focal length for sort of multi-purpose street shooting, when you don't know if it's going to be a busy, densely packed area, or you don't know if it's going to be quite spread out and you're really hunting for compositions. Having a 40mm sort of can make up for not having multiple lenses in your bag. You don't need to worry about having a 28mm or a 50, something like a 35 or a 40 is quite a happy middle ground. And if you like the color you're seeing in the images in this video, you can pick up my Kodak film stock presets, my Fujifilm film stock presets, and my Naturally Filmic presets. And you can actually save when you buy all 3 packs together in the 3-pack bundle, and viewers of this video can use this unique code to save an extra 20% at checkout. These are some of the best film simulation presets you can buy, and I use these in 100% of the images you see here on YouTube, in my website portfolio, and over on my Instagram. So I'll drop a link in the description below for you to check these out. So it saddens me to say I have somehow broken the mechanical shutter on my GM1. Don't really understand how or when this happened. I'm just going to sort of tell you what I've noticed since it's broken and how I can still use the camera. So it had been working a couple of days before that I noticed it was broken. I even checked back on some metadata. I was shooting at the shutter speeds that I now can't shoot at with a mechanical shutter. And clearly sometime between then and going to Venice, something has happened, whether it was an impact or whatever, the camera has just stopped working with the mechanical shutter. I noticed this was broken when I was in Venice because I was shooting at faster shutter speeds at 1/800th of a second, and then I needed to increase my exposure, so I started opening up to like 320, like 1/320, and then suddenly the camera, when I took a photo, went super bright overexposed, and then showed me this screen saying like, please restart the camera. So I reset the camera, took out the battery, put it back in, thought it was just a glitch, but then it kept doing it. Then I realized if I went above 1/500th of a second, anything faster than that, the problem wasn't happening. So I ended up just going to 1/640, went into shutter priority and left my settings as that and carried on with my day. But this was not a solid solution. After getting back to my laptop and doing some research, I then discovered this is actually quite a common problem with the GM1. And apparently the mechanical shutter mechanism is incredibly delicate. So any impact to a lens when attached to the camera or to the camera itself can actually cause damage to the mechanical shutter and stop it from firing correctly, which then makes the camera show this error message and then shut down. The weird thing in my case is that between shooting these test photos like a week ago and then shooting in Venice, the camera has just been in a bag in a drawer. So I have no idea when an impact could have happened or what else could have happened to cause this problem. The reason that the camera wasn't working at slower than 1/500th of a second was because that's when the mechanical shutter comes into effect. But anything faster than that shutter speed, say 1/640 or 1/800, immediately switches to electronic shutter only on the GM1. So the fix for this, and the only reason that I'm able to continue using this camera, is just to change my shutter settings permanently to electronic shutter, which is a pain because one of the best things about this camera is being able to shoot with a mechanical shutter, not having any rolling shutter, super quietly out and about. Whereas now we're going to have rolling shutter pretty much all the time. It is still manageable, but for a camera that doesn't have in-body image stabilization as well, it does kind of start to appear a little bit more frequently. So I'm still going to be using this camera. I still really like this camera, but that is a pain. And it seems like not an easy thing to get fixed these days. I don't know if Lumix still accept them for repairs, especially when you've gone in and changed your language from Japanese to English. Yeah. In the meantime though, I guess I'm gonna have to go back to shooting with my Ricoh GR4 clone, made with the EPL6 and of course the 14mm from Lumix.